Welcome back to another edition of the Oakland Athletics franchise. We have finished up the month of April, the first month of the season, so April 2020 has come to an end, and our Oakland Athletics are sitting at 13-9 on the season, which is not good enough for first place, but they are only a half game out of first behind the Houston Astros. So the A's are, like I said, 13-9, while the Astros are only a half game in front of them, so it's only a matter of time till they catch up, especially since the A's are 7-3 in their last 10, and the Astros are 4-6. So it's kind of telling on who the better team is at this particular moment, and I'm sure the Athletics will be in first place eventually, because they did not exactly have the best start to the season. They lost more games than they won, but the second half of April was definitely much better, especially when you close things out with a sweep against the Twins. Moving on to the stats part of this episode, so Brady Slayton has been the power bat so far this season for the Athletics. He was really known to be like an average kind of like doubles hitter last season, didn't really hit too many home runs, but this year he's kind of gotten a power bat. I don't know how, but he has, and Brady Slayton's hitting 330, he has a clip of 339, 418, 712, which is ridiculous. 7 home runs and 20 RBI through 1 month of the season. He is 4th in home runs and 3rd in RBI, so he's top 5 in home runs and RBI in the league. Matt Olson is not exactly hitting well. He's hitting 197 with 2 home runs and 10 RBI, but despite that average, he's leading the league in walks, so nobody's walked more than Matt Olson in the American League. So once he does start hitting, that's going to add on to those walks, and that's going to add on to a decent OBP, and he's going to get on base. Hopefully he'll be able to hit more like he did last season, and not like his sophomore season where I had to send him down to AAA for pretty much the entire season because he just couldn't hit. And now this is something I definitely expected this season, was the pitching staff was going to regress. Now it's only 1 month of the season, so all these guys could level out to what they did last season and just have a ridiculous year again, but I don't think that's going to happen because that was pretty ridiculous, and I think reality is going to set back in, and they're going to realize that that doesn't happen every year. So right now, Sonny Gray is pitching well. He's 5-0 with a 2.94 ERA through 1 month. J.R. Newman is 3-1. He's getting the wins, but he has a 4.22 ERA. Tehran has 1-1 record with a 2.83 ERA, so he's pitching pretty well. Gaussman is a 1-2 with a 4.15, so he's pitching pretty meh, as well as Newman. And then Ryu is 1-2 with a 2.76 ERA, so he's pitching pretty well as well. Down in AAA, Adrian Castro would be the first reliever to come up if somebody in the bullpen's not pitching well. I'm not exactly too jumpy to use him in the starting rotation, considering he really only has like 2 pitches. 3 if you want to count the fact that he basically has a fastball and 2 breaking balls. But they're basically the same thing, because it's like a slurve and a slider. They're basically the same thing. But down at AAA so far this season, he's only 1-2 with a 4.35 ERA, so he's not exactly pitching well in AAA, and doesn't really give me hope he's going to pitch well in the majors this season to start off. Hopefully he can turn things around here in the upcoming months of the season. But one guy who is pitching well down in AAA is Anthony DeSclafani, the former Cincinnati Red, the Colts Neck, New Jersey native. Colts Neck High School. Anthony DeSclafani is 2-0 with a 3.60 ERA in AAA, and last year with the Cincinnati Reds, he was 14-6 with a 2.71 ERA in 2019, so he had a pretty darn good season. He's definitely a guy, if we need a starter to come up if someone gets hurt, he's probably the first guy on the list. And as far as reliever, who's probably the first reliever to call up right now, considering Castro is not doing too well, is Edmund Roberts. He was actually in the 2016 draft class. He was a later round pick for that. And he was a reliever. He was a C potential reliever. He's pitched pretty well the past few seasons in the minor. He's been the AAA closer for the past 3 seasons, and he's just consistently gotten better. And now he's got a chance to come into the big leagues this season if somebody struggles. Probably Chris Hatcher, as he probably has. I think he has like a 4.8 ERA right now. If he can't turn that around, Edmund Roberts, expect to see Edmund Roberts up in the big leagues. Moving on to the bats, Kyle Schwarber is not exactly having the best start of the season. He's hitting 194 with 1 home run and 6 RBI. He did struggle early last year, so I'm not exactly worried because, like I said, he struggled last year, and then he finished the year with 30-plus bombs, and I think he had like a 276 average and then like a 330 OBP. So I'm not exactly concerned with Kyle Schwarber. I'm sure he'll turn things around eventually. One guy I am concerned about is Franklin Barreto. The guy has gotten a chance to start an entire season. He didn't really do much. Didn't really impress at all. He was a 9-hitter. I think he hit like 230 that year. Wasn't really impressive. Then the next year, he didn't really get a chance. He got some minor league... he got some bench time. He got some platoon time. Now he's a platoon again, and he's just not performing. He's hitting 158 with 1 home run and 5 RBI. Just not exactly proving that he can do anything. He's not very good right now. He hasn't really progressed to be like what we want him to be. He still has bad attributes. He's not exactly good. He's still going to be potential. He's still pretty young, but he's not really doing anything. And the bad thing about it is that if I want to send him down to AAA where he's going to get reps and he's going to get playing time, I can't do that without taking a chance on him through waivers because he is out of minor league options. And more likely than not, he would be picked up in waivers by somebody because they're not going to see, 72 overall, B potential shortstop, 22 years old. Yeah, I'm going to take that guy. They're not going to let him walk, and they're not going to let him just fall down in my AAA if I have to go process him through waivers in order to send him down to AAA. So that's kind of a sticky situation because I kind of just have to keep him on my bench for now because I don't want to just completely get rid of him. Maybe he'll be trade bait at the deadline. I'm not really sure. In the outfield, we have 2 guys who are definitely struggling to start the 2020 season, as Juan Lagares, who we picked up to be our 4th outfield, he's playing center field against left-handed pitching as well, is, well, not exactly doing well. He's hitting 167 with 1 home run and 2 RBI and 42 at-bats. So he's getting a decent amount of at-bats, but he's just not performing. And then Sean Andino is hitting 164 with 4 home runs, 6 RBI, and 61 at-bats. So Andino kind of has power numbers. He's got a few ding-dongs, but he's not hitting for average. Last year, I think he had like a 5 WAR or 6 WAR or something like that. Something ridiculous like that because he was stealing bases. He had a high average. He was hitting home runs. He was knocking in runs. He was scoring runs. He was just a complete package last year. But this year, he's not exactly doing that. And him and Lagares are on the verge. If they don't turn things around, they're going to be sent down because they both have many options left. And if they do get sent down, Lagares, the number 1 option for him is probably Monty Mason, considering Lagares plays against left-handed pitching, and Monty Mason is the guy who rakes left-handed pitching. He's hitting 325 with 3 home runs and 17 RBI in AAA right now. If Andino gets sent down, the first guy to come up for him, or one of the first 2 guys to come up for him that'll be options, are either Alfredo Ortiz, who we just had a prospect profile for. He's hitting 289 with 5 home runs and 18 RBI in AAA. Or there's Adam West, who we had a prospect profile on in 2019, and that is, he's hitting 380 with 2 home runs and 15 RBI in AAA. So he's probably the first option to come up, as he's had more experience in the minors and he's still raking in the AAA. So Adam West will probably be the first guy I get to come up. Or correction, Mark West. His name is Mark West. Mark West will probably be the first guy to come up for Andino if Andino does get sent down. And then if Mark West doesn't really do anything, it'll probably be Alfredo Ortiz. As far as injuries go, the shortstop position has been decimated by injuries. Now, one of these guys isn't exactly a shortstop. In Jackie Allen, he's more of a first baseman. He's just listed as a shortstop because I haven't moved him to be listed as first base yet. He's like 6'4", and he can't really field, so I think he's better listed as a first baseman. But technically, he's can play the entire infield. So, Jackie Allen, broken hand at 1 to 2 months. Pedro Navarre, he's a guy who I was planning on doing a prospect profile for, but that's going to have to hold off for a few months because he's on the 60-day DL with a broken forearm. Jason Vogel, another guy who I was planning on doing a prospect profile for. He was actually a first-round pick for us in, I forget exactly which draft, but he was a C potential. He's still a C potential, but ever since he's been in my minors leagues, he's been pitching quite well. He's had a good record and a good ERA every single year he's been in the minors, so he just keeps climbing it overall, so he could be a good 4th, 5th starter eventually. And I was hoping to do a prospect profile on him, but once again, that's going to have to wait a couple months in the season because he is out for 1 to 2 months with a broken hand. And then a pick from this year's draft, or last year's draft, the 2019 draft, Yamamoto, the shortstop, more of like a kind of like just infielder type guy, is out for 1 to 2 months with a fractured arm. So, kind of decimated by injuries. They're all minor league injuries, but they're definitely... Some of these guys are guys who could have played a role off the bench in the majors, or if somebody got hurt, they would have been the first guy to call up, especially Jackie Allen. But now they're going to have to be on the DL for quite some time, as they're all on the 60-day DL. And with that being said, that's pretty much going to wrap things up here for this April recap. The Athletics will be heading into the month of May in 2nd place in the American League West. That is half game behind the Houston Astros, but the Athletics are on a roll right now, and the Astros aren't, so it's only a matter of time until the Athletics take first place in the AL West. I've been your host, Jersey Born, and I'm saying goodbye.